Welcome to Jeux tous azimuts, gaming in all directions. Today we unbox, quite easy to see, The Witcher, the Old World. Let's go! Many years before the arrival of Geralt inside the world of The Witcher, Go On Board decides to create a game that brings us in that Witcher world with tons of content and a very large adventure. It's a 1 to 4, 1 to 5 potentially players cooperative and competitive game. There's even a solo mode in certain way. The journey started in June 2021. It's been a long time. About 2 years to deliver the game, and that was worth the wait. So we're going to look at it today. If you're looking for the shrink wrap and the cardboard, the big box, you can take a look at my French video of unboxing. That's where I did that. Today we take care of the main event. So let's start right now. Let's move this away. Let's move Siri away. Now you see this is an all-in big box pledge. So that means that everything's going to come back into a big box, and you will see that once we're done. So we're going to put that aside and start with the main box. There's plenty to say about the game, and we're going to discover that together. So first, let's put the box so you can see it right. Look at that. It's beautiful. There was some, I wouldn't say controversy, but the design of the box took a while, and the comment from the community made Go On Board do multiple iterations and changes on it. That's the final version. Now, if you're interested in getting the game, it should become available in retail around June-ish of this year. There will be 2 versions available. The standard version and a deluxe. The main differences between these 2 versions are actually the miniatures for the monsters, a token for the closed, what's the name of it? The closed tavern, and the 5 plastic tokens for the different Witcher schools. But besides that, you're going to have the same base box. What you're going to see today is full of exclusives because it was part of the campaign. Actually, most of what's in the extra box is of it. But however, there's plenty of expansions that were either bundled or will be available at retail that you should look into, and we'll talk about those as we go along. The issue here is that I cannot show you a specific extension. They're spread throughout both boxes. So let's start with this. And you'll see that throughout the box, all around, are plenty of beautiful pictures. These pictures are actually part of the expansion boxes. So for example, if I'm not mistaken, this one is for the Mages expansion, and we'll talk about that one in a few moments. So let's just open this and start looking into the content. There we go. I'm going to keep that on the side. We will start with, I'll turn that around so you can see as I discover them. Manuals. Plenty of manuals. So let's take a look at those. Main instruction book, 36 pages. Nice paper. Wish you could smell it. It's awesome. The classic, very well illustrated, easy to read, and as expected in fantasy, that classic, I can say yellow, that's not yellow, but papyrus, yeah, looks like it, color for every piece of paper. It's funny, you buy any kind of fantasy world book, and they usually have a tendency to use this type of shade or color, as if the paper has got old or something like that. Oh, and by the way, if you're new to the channel and you realize this is an unboxing, but this is a Jeux unboxing, that means we may talk about other things as we go along. This is Ciri expansion. There's a few exclusives, as I was saying, and Ciri is one of them. One of the main story behind the Kickstarter campaign, was that there was the lack of presence of female characters in the game. Well, of course, the designer and the company wanted to be faithful to the franchise, because if you read the Witcher books, besides sorceresses, there are not that many female characters except Ciri. So they brought Ciri because of her capacity of moving through time and space, so she could be there at that time and work with it. So same type. All these manuals are pretty much component list, set up for the game, example of a turn or how to use the rules, and variants of gameplay if necessary. So these other manuals are for the other parts of the game. We have here, for example, the Monster Trail. Monster Trail is an expansion that brings a 6th Witcher to the base game. There are 5, including Ciri, and it brings a new school as well, and we'll discover that when we look at the board. There's also the Wild Hunt, another portion of the expansion. This brings a cooperative mode, the solo mode, and 4 monsters. And you have another expansion called, I think it's pronounced Skellige, at least that's how it sounded in their videos. This one is more about exploring a new portion of the world through islands. And there are items that you can find on these islands that are worth the risk of going on the water, on a boat, and potentially meeting a monster on the sea. I was talking about the mages earlier. This is the manual for it. The mages bring extra players that play a little bit differently. The mages don't work the same way as the witchers, but fairly interesting. You can mix them during a game. And there are multiple female characters as mages. I would say, and I might repeat it a few times during the unboxing, from the base game, that will set you back about 80 something dollars for the base, or 120 for the deluxe. If you want to buy the base game and you're not worried about having the miniatures for the monsters and you're okay with the tokens or standees, I would go for the Mages expansion first. That is probably the one that brings you back the most for your investment, because you get plenty of new players, characters that you can use, and that brings a lot of repeatability in the game. Next one is Legendary Hunt. And the Legendary Hunt, where is that one? Brings us 7 monsters. So, as I was saying, there are multiple expansions. So before I dive into the boxes, let's talk about those to name them properly. And there's so many, I listed them all here. So there is an exclusive monster pack. So you're not going to find them anymore except in the next campaign. That's 3 specific monsters. You got a Monster Trail, 6 Witcher, and an extra school. This you should be able to purchase if they make it available. That's what they've said. The Wild Hunt, also 4 bosses, cooperative mode, solo, also potentially available for sale. There's a adventure pack. That was the stretch goals for the Polish campaign. They unlocked about 200 cards of events and items for the game. Series and exclusive. So there is no way you're going to get it besides within a campaign. And I'm sure we're going to get a new campaign, maybe not this year, maybe next year, for something else, or when CD Projekt Red decides to release the next iteration of The Witcher, and they might tie that in there. Hey, full speculation here. I have no idea, but that's what I'm thinking. There's a Lost Mount expansion. It's a single miniature. It's a wink. Yeah, I think that's it. It's a wink at the game. We'll see, and I'll explain how it works, but it's an exclusive. There's also Mounted Eredin, which is a single miniature that you could get if you backed early or if you purchased it. We're going to see that too. What else? Skellige, that expansion. Well, I'm going to those components I can show you in there. There's the Legendary Hunt, that's 7 extra monsters, and the mages. So all of this makes everything content that is available. What was that one? This one is those extra 3 monsters. You can see them here and how they work. So, okay. And very important, the diagram that allows us to put everything back when you're pulling out, and how to build either 2 or 1 box. What I'm going to do is not exactly following this because I don't want to move too much of components, but you should have a very good idea on how it looks. All right, so these we're going to set aside. Let's talk about the next piece, which is the board. And I'm going to try to show you how it looks. Yeah, that's, sorry for the mix. And here's the big reveal. Here's our board. The beautiful board. So what you can see now, I think I'm going to keep it that way. So you have the map. We have our different Witcher schools. There are 6 of them, including that Manticore, that you're going to install on the board. Cards are going to be to place here for events, quest, equipment, and so forth. So you get that portion right there. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's thick. It's well made. It's going to be fun to work with that on the table. So that's our board. One little piece of cardboard to protect, and we can start looking to the rest of the content. This is the board for Skellige. This is added at the end of the board. You add that at the end of the map, and it allows you to have different islands. You're going to use ships to go to these islands and potentially obtain interesting advantages for you to come back and fight monsters. So it's a nice little board for that. And now we're ready to talk about some of our people. And yeah, we're going to do this in that order. So this is the one thing. We have, in these boxes, we have trays for everything. There's no way you can have components roaming around inside the box loose. Thank God, because it is a very bad thing having large games like these and arrive with a pile of plastic bags and almost a good luck installing and sorting this out. Having trays all over is pretty good. All right, so even the top, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, so I'm going to try to show it that way. You get the symbols of the Witchers. Now, potentially there's a mistake in the order, and Goldboard has already put in place mechanism to obtain the right panel, whether it's in the next campaign or through a local reseller. But for now, I'm very happy with this. It's beautiful. Okay, so let's take a look. We got our classic wood components for different markers all over for each Witcher. We have our base color for the same thing, you know, the classic, put it under the miniature. And talking about the miniature, let's go and take a look at our Witchers. And we're going to look at those. Hopefully you can see them properly. They are absolutely beautiful. Very beautiful. It's interesting also that they are numbered, and the tray has also a number attached to it. So another of those Witchers. By default, the board will have a name for the Witchers, but you have possibility of using different names that are provided, or simply turn the token around and insert your own name. If you want to have a Witcher that's called John or Dale or Stephen, good for you. I'm going to have another Witcher right here. And that is that her? What does it look like, Siri? Okay, so we have another one here. That's the next one. Notice they all have carrying their dual blades. And this one is kind of pushing a sign as he's trying to throw a spell. Interesting. Now, the miniatures were available in two models, meaning what you're seeing here, the base, and they had an option, just like most large companies doing campaigns like that, shaded miniatures for, obviously, an extra amount. I didn't go for that, but when I looked at how they look, I'm kind of jealous a little bit. However, I'm thinking picking up that skill somehow, not starting with those, but potentially learning with, you know, some cheap one miniature I'm going to find somewhere, and trying to learn. This is not going to be a course on shading, but the base of the idea is to paint completely in a dark color, usually a pitch black or something like that, and then to use a series of less dark color, a beige, a whitish, or something like that, and do the technique that they call a dry brush. So you remove as much possible paint and you brush on it as much as you can, and it makes the relief, anything that touches the brush comes out, and it looks gorgeous. Now, what else is in there? Yeah, going from one topic to another. We have our dice. These are just real nice. They feel good too. So there are two sets in here, 5 each. So they're light and the others are dark. There you go. See? Oh, there we go. They're just awesome. And you can use those to play or to do dice poker. This is an inside the game that allows you to play either against another player or against the house when you're in a tavern, where you're going to be able to earn some coins. In the Witcher game, you have a different game called Gwent, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But in this game, they replaced it, potentially not to make that game too complex, with dice poker. Very easy to learn. And that's our Witchers. We're going to take a second look, another look, at another set of miniatures. These are the mages. Same thing. Wood tokens. Oh, I forgot to put the wood tokens in there. There we go. So, wood tokens, These are the plastic tokens for each of the different schools for the mages. So that's how it looks. I'm going to try to show that one because that one looks good. Looks very nice. It's I don't know if you hear the sound. It sounds like currency, but it's nice plastic. All right. So put that back. Same thing. We get our base, and here are our mages. Again, if you are getting this game and you want the best out of any expansion, I think the mages is fine. As I was saying, you can play with witchers and mages, or just mages if you want to. That allows you to diversify your different games. And now we are starting to see that was one, that's another female character. So representation is proper for everywhere. There we go. Each mage has a different magical ability. And this one, for example, is using portals. And look at this one. Very pensive, reading or consulting a spell book potentially. Well, that's very, very nice. Okay, so these are our main characters, whether the base witchers or the mages. Now let's take a look at some of the monsters available. As I said, some of them are not available in the base game, nor available because they're exclusives, but not all of them. All right, let's start with one that is exclusive. You're not going to see it unless you get a pledge or the next campaign. Look at that. Look at that. The detail. The base has details too. It's not just a flat circle. Looks very, very nice. I've seen on the page someone who's already painted this, and some people are very talented when they do painting, and it makes the monsters really, really scary. There you go. Almost lifelike size of frogs you can find in your backyard, but this one, compared to the size of a witcher, is absolutely monstrous. It's awesome. Really well done. And trying to put those back, you have to remember how it looked when you pulled it out. Let's take a look at this one now. Beautiful too. All of them. They're all well sculpted. And the tray is, just right so that you don't get somebody get broken in your tray when you put it back. Let's talk about who wrote this thing. Lucas Wozniak is the designer of the game, and the illustrator is Damian Mamoliti. As I was saying, it's 1 to 5 players. The sessions will be between 90 and 150 minutes, so an hour and a half to 2 hours and a half, depending on the quest that you're going to do. Let's take a look at another one. Let's look at this. It's just rock monster. Beautiful. Really, really well done. And here's one of the 3 ships that we have. That's part of that Skellige expansion when you're adding that extra board here to go to the islands. Now on the board, you're going to place tokens to indicate which cities are ports. That allows you to take a boat. Not all of them will have a boat, so you'll have to manage that in your travel. So when you take a boat, you go to the island. You may have encounters on the water, luck will let you know that. And then when you get to the island, there are some events that you can do there, get some meaningful rewards, and when you come back, be better prepared to face other monsters and continue and accumulating what is called trophies. You can get trophies in the game either by defeating monsters or by evolving in studying at your school of the Witcher. To win, you need to get 4 trophies. There are some different rules that will ask you to get up to 6, I think, and that's part of the expansion. So these are our monsters. Let's take a look at what's left. What's left are cards. Now, most of the time you're going to see me unshrink cards and show you the cards, but not this time. They're going to stay in shrink. Yes, you might be disappointed. I'm sorry. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to sleeve these cards. I don't want to touch them at all as soon as I have the time, because there are hundreds and hundreds of cards. Makes the whole bulk of the box. So I'm going to show you a few. Anyway, hopefully the shrink is not going to make it impossible to recognize, and we're going to try to discuss those as well. No, that one doesn't look, I don't think it's going to look good on the camera. This one is interesting. These are also part of your combat deck. You're going to build your combat, and in the card, I'm going to try to show it, is there's a line of color on the side here. So you want to make cards of the same color together. So when you do that, the white slashes are actually hit points. So this is the damage you're going to do to your monster. So here we have 1 from that card, and there's a green here with another one. So if you have a green card that follows, that one will be counted. So doing combos will allow you to perform large hit numbers like 3, 4, 5 or more in there. The tray here is built to accumulate most of the cards sleeved. So there's plenty of empty spaces right now, but when they're sleeved, they're all going to have, they're going to occupy the whole space. This one is a player's aid. And here's another one that's an easy one to see. That one's called Quick Slash. You can see the color, you can see a 1 damage. And right here, all I am smelling is the fresh paper of these. Yeah, it smells good. I know, I'm peculiar for that. All right, so let's put that back in. Yeah, I'm really tempted to try to learn how to shade miniatures, because the presence on the board of these are already interesting and fascinating. But imagine shaded, it's going to be quite nice. Very few games that you can find have the miniatures that are either shaded by default or colored, pre-painted. I've seen that in a few games, and it makes a whole lot of difference. The presence on the board makes it more believable. So it's kind of very interesting. So I'm going to put this all back as if I never opened it. All right, we're going to set that aside completely right there, and we're going to talk about Ciri and the whole content. Now, that gives you 1, 2, 3, and 4 top and bottom. When you're rebuilding them together to make the B box, you're going to use the top there, and this is going to be the bottom. You can take a look. This is the back and the bottom of the big box. This one here and the top here with Ciri are actually allows you to put everything in 2 boxes like I received those, and can be going into that classic Swedish furniture that everybody uses to store games without naming it. It fits perfectly. And when it's a one big box, it's going to take a single space if you want to. So we're going to take a look at Siri and what's in that box. You'll see that this cover is quite smaller. Okay, put that aside. You see, it's a lot less thick. And this can be set aside when you are building the whole big box. That's pretty much the only piece that's going to stay away because you can't put it inside. But it's a nice piece. And as I was saying, the images that we see all over, all around, see this monster, for example, and the Skellige extension here, are all the top of the boxes of the different expansions. Since I'm not receiving extra boxes, that's how they decided to give us access to this artwork, which is absolutely gorgeous. All right, so let's put Siri aside. Let's take a look at what's inside this one. Let's see if I have anything else I need to mention that I don't want to lose. Currently, it's growing because people are starting to receiving and playing in it. It has an 8.0 on Board Game Geek. So it's a very good quote or value mark. And the rules are listed at 2.75, not too complex. So let's take a look at the punch boards that we have received. Currency, Witcher schools, where you're going to be able to have ships, the ports, the names of some potential names of Witchers you might want to use if you don't like the ones that come by default. And the back, as I was saying, if you don't like the names of the provided Witchers, you can use your own and write the names you want. And the rest is the same thing as we had on the first side. All right, let's move on to the next one. These are our monsters. So those are replaced by the miniatures in the deluxe version. And make expansion 33. Don't know what that means. Monster pack. So we get an extra one there. All right. So that's pretty much it. Nothing fancy to say about that. I'm not sure exactly about every bit of detail so far. So other symbols, currency, and probably quest tokens and stuff like that. Okay. And they already have rooms in those extra boxes for putting them. This is the board you're going to add. At the end, on one side, you put the Skellige board for traveling and adding to your map. And on the other side, an extra row of cards if you are using the mages at the same time as Witchers. If you're using only mages, you can use that single row, put their cards while you're playing. But if you're mixing mages and Witchers, you add an extra row for their cards. So a little board that goes like this. Let's take a look at this one here. And again, some cards, some extra pieces. Wood tokens again. All square except one of them. I don't know if it's a mistake. I think it's not a mistake. There's a reason for that extra one. I don't know. It looks like a shield. 2 extra base. That was probably for the extra Witcher in the expansion. And Siri, the white one. White color cubes are for her. The tokens for our Witchers, same way we had before. I didn't see that when I opened yesterday for French, but this is one of the items you're not going to get in the base box. You're going to get the token for it. We get a plastic version. This is the closed tavern. That X with, barnwood. Yeah, so this is that, and we have our different Witchers. the logo like that. Again, same sound, and I'm glad I found this one. I was looking for it, but I didn't see it yesterday. Now I found it. Good. All right, so, and those two extra are for that 6-width chair, and if you take a look closely, that kind of a dove, or a peaceful bird, it's probably a dove. It's for Siri, of course. So, let me put that back. I told you we were talking about the game Witcher, the video game. I told you that this happens years before Geralt, but he's still here. And the only card you're going to see with Geralt, it's not a card for a game, it's actually publicity. I'm going to remove that. These are codes. I have to blur this in the video. These are codes for registering to the game of Gwent, the game that comes in The Witcher. It was so popular from the video game that they made an actual game out of it. And you can play Gwent. It's a card game with specific rules, kind of a battle. And you get 5 codes, at least I got 5 codes for the game. So I'm going to blur this in the video. All right. Oh, this one is beautiful. I think these are the Mage's cards. The Mage's combat system is similar, not identical to the Witcher's. So the cards use a similar symbology and structure, but there are extra symbols for their own specific abilities. So if you take a look at that one, this one is a beautiful card. It's a dagger, and it says Ice Dagger. You have the color on the side to combos, number of damages, and extra features of that card for giving shield, or an extra, oh, you take another card, or you have to put the card back, or something like that. These symbols are there for that. So that's interesting. This one is beautiful too. You can see. This card has multiple combinations you can work with. See, you have the damages depending on which color of the card you play with, and it has some shield effect, so that will protect the mage when he or she casts the spell. So that's one part here. And now we are in a lot of monsters. So let's go and start with these. These are smaller ones, so let's start with those. Actually, before going into the monsters, we're going to start with the star of the show. Welcome, Miss Siri. This is your miniature. See, she's not with the others because she was an exclusive and was part of an expansion. All right, so let's take a look at some others. Look at this. Look at this. I have the hunch of saying the word harpy here, but I'm not sure that's the name of that monster. Beautiful. Again, every monster is numbered under the base, and the tray has numbers, so it's easy to put back once you pull them out. If you think you have a rat problem, you don't. This is a rat problem. All right. Let's take a look at another one. Another spider-like. Beautiful. Really, really nice. I'm really eager to put that. This will make a lot of presents on a table. Anything else before I show you a few other things? No, that's pretty much it. The campaign was, as I said, 2 years. So it took a lot of updates every month to keep us appraised of the progress. So we have pictures of, miniatures being built, cards, how in the last few that was about shipping, obviously, but the progress of the scenarios, how it would look, a white prototype to give you an idea of the space everything's going to take. It's quite interesting following a campaign. Another one here. There we go. From the back of it, here it looks like a Tasmanian devil. Obviously it's not, but that's what it looked to me when I was showing it to you. So we got about 20 something. That's probably the base 28 that we have, besides Syria, of course. And no, I think I can pull that out. Yes, there we go. Now these are the big ones. Let's start with, I said big ones, let's go for big ones. So let's look at that. Imagine. Okay. Let's take Syria as an example. So you can compare the scale of monsters and witchers. And if you take a look at the presents on the table, that gives you an idea on how it's going to look. I imagine they're shaded, or if I had talent and time, painted. I don't know if I have the patience to really go, drop here, drop there. I salute anyone who has that talent. And I've seen some campaigns offering to sell a set of painted miniature for their game, but usually the number that is asked represent a level of effort. You can see a full set of, 100 miniatures. They ask for $1,000, fully manually painted, and something like that. Recognize this guy? Maybe not. Recognize this guy now? That's him. Colored, of course. It's beautiful. I don't know what is the actual name of that specific monster, but it has been used in multiple places. Let's see if I can find another one that's worth it. Yeah, this one. The reason why I'm showing this one, again, is because it has been featured on the main box. It's a nice representation. I'm going to show it closer so you can really have a good idea of the details. Okay, now, this goes there to protect it. I told you about the lost mount. So in the Witcher video game, there's a glitch somewhere at one point where a horse gets stuck into the roof. I've never experienced it, but I've seen images of it. So to pay tribute to that slight bug, they created the lost mount. That's an exclusive. You're not going to get this on the retail version, maybe on the next campaign, I hope. But this lost mount allows you to get access to fast travel during the game. So you find the lost mount through a card or some event, you use it, and it will disappear again to be lost for someone else. So it's an interesting piece here. So we have plenty of baddies of all kinds. Beautiful. I don't want to show them all to you because if you get your own version, you may want to have some discoveries of your own. I'm seeing a Cyclops here. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm not saying anything more. Put that back here. We put the lid back there. There we go. They're just fit. They're not too tight in there. And we are now looking at those. These are the player boards. Those I'm going to show you up close. So each board is a double layer. Look at the thickness. It's really, really solid. Beautiful. So the board has picture of the Witcher or the character, because we're going to have some mages at one point. The name that you can remove if you want to. These are the shields. There, that's where it's going to go. So I probably have more of those shield token. I just didn't notice them earlier. So you can replace this name by whatever you want. So each each character has combat, defense, alchemy. These three are common. The last one is the specific trait of that character that you're going to grow. So it's the same mechanic, just exposed in a different name. And in the back, you have the logo of the school. It's a very nice touch. You didn't have to do this. Just a nice touch. And some insert here. I believe it's for sliding cards, but I didn't read anything that told me. And the same thing here. You have a slight curve indentation that allow you to put the card for your character. So that's one of them. Next one. So we are in the mages. So these are mages. But not that one. That one is probably our 6th Witcher. So this is a mage, and you can see the token is going to be different. And here it's thunder. Is that thunder? Yes, that's thunder. His special power. Beautiful. And the logo of his school as well. And now we're starting to have another mage. Beautiful again. It's really, really well done. I like the symbology of those schools. You know, creating a logo is not easy, and you have plenty of them around here. So kudos to the imagination of the designers and the graphic artist behind. So Gekira is this one. Again, you don't like her name, you want to call her Louise. Up to you. You just slide the name and we're done. Another one with back. That's the one that's using the teleportation. That's the one that has the meaning of the portal. And I've seen somebody paint this one. You can imagine how just beautiful that is. And the last mage with a scarab inside the logo. This is Miss Philippa Eilhart. I'm currently reading The Witcher, so that name is part of what I'm reading right now. So that's why I recall the name. Should you read the books before touching any of this? No, you don't have to. Will it give you a better understanding or a better depth in the lore? Probably. But there's a lot of books to read and a lot of hours in the game if you want to dive into the game before playing this game. So let's take a look at our Witchers now. Okay, so yeah, 6. So we're gonna have that one. And it's cool. Kiar is cool too. Now we have, the wolf, the cat, and different names. If you saw the reveal of the next iteration of the game from CD Projekt Red, they're pointing to potentially a new school as well. The kind of their medallion was in the snow. We see only half of it or something like that. So it's kind of interesting. There we go. Again, beautiful. Well done. See that one as a kind of a cobra, and his special trait is venomous steel. There we go. Another one. Swordsmanship is his special power. Arim. Again, if you want him to become Bob, go for it. And finally, doesn't need the presentation anymore. You know her. And you can see the dove of her school. There is no dove school on the board. They decided to use a school of another Witcher for her because let's understand that Ciri arrived in extremis at the end of the campaign. That was an extra they added. So the board had been designed for a long time. You didn't want to go back into redesigning the whole board because you're adding a character. So they improvised and they decided to put that person, Ciri, same place as another Witcher. I think I'm gonna butcher the name. Kale Dorn, something like that. They're the main place where all the Witchers are usually trained, kind of their headquarters. Not necessarily school, but the original place. Anyway, that's where Ciri is going to have her school mentioned. What is left? A few cards. These are the monster cards. Now, throughout going in the game, you have a chance to learn about the different monster you're hunting. And earning this knowledge allows you to defeat the monsters better. So, for example, for a monster, you may learn that you need to put a special substance on your sword, some kind of venom, to be more effective against that monster or something like that. So you have a series of monster cards that describe each of those monsters. And at the same time, this one, it's the same card type of card, it's alone. The reason why is because it's the only monster that comes with a Skellige extension, and that's the Dagon. That's a monster you cannot kill. This one, you at best get away with it, but you still get your knowledge. So it's kind of interesting. Come on, there we go. Okay. So again, monsters probably for the legendary monster. That golem once again. Now I know what that creature is. And some extra for those special 3 monsters that we had. So the extra cards that are added. So let's put that back in. Let's build back this box. And we're going to get into the last piece that we need to take a look into. Actually, no, we're going to do something else. Let's try that, okay? I'm going to put... Oh, no, I forgot something. I forgot. There, this goes here. Then we can put those up. I don't know if you've noticed, but the inside of the box has an extra thicker layer, and it's really, really solid. There's a reason for it. You're about to see it in a second. Put that in. Put that here. This goes there. This goes on top. This goes here. You know what? Let's try that. Okay. I'm going to put those on the side. Okay. I'm going to bring this over. It goes inside. And we should be able to put everything back up here. This may not be the perfect positioning, but this is how it should look. And then we close the big box. Second, there we go. It's not perfect. It should fit completely because I did fit it yesterday. I was lucky yesterday, it seems. So that becomes that big box I was talking about. This fits once closed properly. This fits in that Swedish furniture piece you have for your games. So this is how it looks. Now I'm going to just undo it and put it back the way it should be in the 2 boxes. Because that's how I want to keep it for now. So this one is ready to be closed with this. I'll put it on the side. Yeah, there's something I did that shouldn't be done. I can't recall. So, because if you try to do it just that way, I don't think that's going to work. Does it? Yeah. Yes, it would. Yeah. That's how you should do it. There's a better version of this. That's why there's that diagram sheet right here. That's what you use it for. Okay, so let's close these two. Let's put that in the right order. Oh yeah, it's not outside, it's an inside box. There we go. See, it goes inside. You know what? I'm going to move it away because I need room. You'll understand in a second. Where's that thing going? It's on this side, so that's kind of weird. Anyway, we'll put it, close it. There we go. I imagine that in your bookshelf. It's beautiful. It's an investment, but it's beautiful. Okay. Everything's heavy. The box this thing arrived is about 31 pounds. Okay. There are a few items I want to share with that's in this. First one is the mounted Eredin. That's an extra that you could purchase, or if you were fast enough when you started the KickStarter, the campaign, you could get for free just by backing early, which I did. And this is Mr. Eredin. Is the main baddie in the Wild Hunt. Beautiful. Now, it has its own boxes, its own set of cards. You can take a look there. It fits in the big box. There's a room for it already. I didn't notice it, but I know there's a spot for this character. Okay, I'll move that later. Okay. Extra set of dice. So if you're playing with multiple people, you may want to have a set of dice for every player. So these are the dice. They're just beautiful. They're all black. You have 5 sets of 5 each. So that's it. That's not going to be a good idea. Next piece is this. Now you can see it's already labeled with a UPC code. That means, yes, it's going to be retail. So you're going to be able to purchase this. These are the coins. Again, not opening it. There are 3 or 4 kinds of coins in there. In the lore of The Witcher, they couldn't tell us which was the prevalent currency, but they knew that there are multiple currencies throughout the kingdom, so they decided to create different look, color, and feel for each of them. They're all value of 1, and just by the sound of it, you know this is good quality. And they have an extra pouch for it, so we get extra coins. Again, that provides a tactile sensation when you're in the game and you earn a coin. You know, you feel it. That little cardboard thingy is okay, but the heft of the coin really brings the experience in. One part that caused the weight of that big box was this. Sleeves for every single card that you saw so far. And finally, this, a mat. Now there's a story behind them. I'm going to move this over so that way we're going to be able to open it completely. That will be much nicer than yesterday. At first, Go On Board said, yeah, we're going to provide a mat. We'll fold it in the box. You'll be fine. Boy, did they get a whiplash about this. People got, I wouldn't say angry, just like, you know, everybody on the net who has a bad opinion. But the main, even people that were very thoughtful said that it would hurt the mat and it was not a good idea to fold it. Although Go On Board has done it before on previous campaigns without any issues. But to respond to their clientele, they decided to roll it like this. And that's why the box we received was so big, because of this. Okay. So now let me show you what the Witcher world looks like. It is absolutely gorgeous. See, it's as big as my the mat I have here already. So you may not see everything, so hopefully you'll have a good idea. So we can see it has everything. So the Skellige extension is right here, so we don't have to put that board. The main board, the main kingdom with all the schools. The Manticore is present on that compared to the main board. I can't tell you which one it is, but I know it is there. The 2 lanes for cards that we had before, and the extra one for the mages. So in one shot, you got everything for your game. And look at the presence it has on the table. It's perfect. And now you're going to be able to move around your character throughout this kingdom. That is a nice mat. It's about, I would say, 2 millimeter thick. They didn't stitch it. If you're careful with it, that's not going to be a problem, okay? Compared to, you know, something like that. Okay, so let's roll that back. Yeah, it's very soft. And it's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I love. I know it's a luxe or an extra to have the mat for some games. Some, I think, are worth having. This one is one of them. Now, how much is that mat going to cost you? Usually, it's between 25, 35. I've seen games that are a little more, charge more for their mat, but usually it's around this number. So, put it back where it belongs for now until we table the game. All right. So, this is it. This is The Witcher Old World. I hope when you get your copy that you're going to have as much fun as you hope. Thank you for being here. My name is Gilles Duval for Jeux tous azimuts, gaming in all directions. We explore the world of games in any direction, and maybe one of them, like this one, will pique your curiosity and be of interest. Thank you so much for following. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.